As of 2024, there are over 4 million podcasts registered. Uh-oh, that is a staggering amount of podcasts to listen to, like an Elon Musk amount of children number. And like Elon's children, the number grows seemingly daily. One of the newest podcasts I've stumbled across belongs to California Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom. But you wouldn't know he's a Democrat from his bookings. His guests have recently included Charlie Kirk, Michael Savage, and Steve Bannon, and he kind of lets them say whatever they want. I understand the appeal of wanting to listen and debate opposite viewpoints, but is a podcast really the best use of time for the sitting governor of the largest state in the country? Which is why I have some serious choice words for elected Democrats who are doing everything other than governing. Please, no hour or minute of your workday should be spent recording podcast ads. We just don't need to hear your opinions about Quince. That's what I'm here for. Loving Quince, okay? The federal government is disappearing people, trying to steal your Social Security money, holding universities hostage, and basically trying to give everyone measles. And you think now is the best time to start podcasting? Okay, you know what? Have AI write a memoir for you like all other future presidential candidates. It's that easy. This is Choice Words. I'm Samantha Bee. My guest today is comedian Matteo Lane, who joined me between never-ending tour dates and the release of his new cookbook, Your Pasta Sucks. And you know what? In this hellscape, I really needed to spend 45 minutes talking about pasta and homemade ricotta. I really did. And it's really good. You can see him at Radio City Musical April 5th. And his new special, Matteo Lane, the Al Dente special, will be on Hulu in May. So take a listen and make good choices. Okay, first of all, I'm so excited to be talking to you because I'm such a big fan.
I'm so excited to talk to you. I feel like I can't believe we've never met each other after all these years.
And I love your cookbook. I really love it.
Thanks.
I don't know if you were told this in advance, but I collect cookbooks. I'm like actually an avid cookbook person. I read them. I love them. It's how I entertain myself. And yours is great. It's really good. It's great.
Oh, thank you. I wanted to call it I'm not a chef, and in the parentheses also I'm not an author. Just because I know how much Fran Lebowitz hates people who are like everyone just thinks they're an author now. But I only know how to cook like what I put in the book. They asked me originally, like, do you want to do 50 recipes? Like 50 recipes. I was like, I'm a comedian now. Right. I'm like, I'll give you guys 30 and then, funny stories. So I kind of just made like a comedy cookbook, like a short series of essays along with recipes.
Yes, but you know what? They are the 30 best recipes. Like they're the 30 things I wanted. They're kind of the things that people want to eat. So it's like it has 100 recipes in it, in a way, if you think about it.
Well, sometimes you look at cookbooks and when they have like 8,000 recipes, at some point it's like, I'm not making zucchini crostini with almond paste. No. Like, I'm just not. Like, just get to the pasta. It's an easy thing to make when people come over, and let's move on with our lives.
Well, it's like there's cookbooks that are for their art. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to actually make you're not going to make any of the reductions that they're talking. Like, you're not gathering up shrimp shells to make the basis for this other part of this very elaborate dish. But like, there's ones that you just read and you look at the pretty pictures, and then there's ones that you actually make the recipes. And I was going to make the ricotta, and then I ran out of time.
We hang it on the sink. My sister and I, when we make ravioli, we do the ricotta, and then when you like put it in the ricotta bag, it just sits there on the sink, which is just far away enough. You're like, this looks inappropriate.
Mm-hmm. It's delicious. I love homemade ricotta so much. Okay, so you're also on tour right now. So you're like promoting a book. You're also on tour. You're kind of how are you doing that? What is that?
Well, and my special comes out on May 16th. So it's like I'm doing bam wham, I'm like touring. I was just in Florida. Okay. And the week before I was in Philly and Providence. And then I go I do Radio City April 5th, and that's sort of like
Okay.
the ending of the tour.
Okay.
And then I do like the mini book tour. And
Okay.
then like it's just like yeah, at the end of May it'll all sort of settle down and I can get my head together.
Okay. Okay. And what are you? Oh my God, Radio City. That's exciting. That's
I'm very
exciting.
excited.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's the biggest venue I've done. I mean, I do theaters, but like six
yeah,
thousand tickets is like a lot.
that's a lot. That's huge. That's awesome. That's awesome. The basis of this, like the premise of this entire podcast is like about the choices that you make, like how you make choices, the choices that you make, and that's kind of the launch point for everything that we talk about. I want to ask, are you a good, first of all, are you good at making decisions for yourself? Are you a decisive person? Are you
I'm
into
sort of
that?
two people. I'm very good at making decisions with my gut in terms of my career, what feels right,
Okay.
what doesn't feel right. And then in my personal life, I tend to make decisions to based off my emotions that aren't totally
Okay.
rational,
Okay.
friendships, family, past relationships. So I'm trying to focus on bringing my directness from the the work life and bringing that into my personal life. My
Mm-hmm.
personal life, I'm too afraid to hurt many people's feelings. I'm a people
Okay.
pleaser.
Are you?
I'm very sensitive. Yeah, my friends make fun of me all the time. I'm just so sensitive. But then in my business life, I'll fight with every sound and lighting guy in from Timbuktu. I don't give a shit. I will fight. I don't care.
That's amazing. So you're trying to bring some of that fight to your family, to the people
Ye-
that you love.
Yeah, it's just hard because I
It's
think
hard.
I'm such a softie. But
Right.
that's where my decision making's. Yeah, it's been an interesting journey thus far.
Like small decisions hard for you, or just it's more professional versus personal?
Big or small decisions in my professional life are easy for me to make. I'm
Yeah.
pretty clear. And I've even said no to opportunities because I'm like, that just won't look good in the long run. So I just
Okay.
say no. I've
Yeah.
said no a lot, which I kind of like. Not in a like I no, but like in a way
Sure.
that feels like you just really with your career, and I'm sure you know this, you just have to go with your gut. This doesn't feel
Yes.
right. This feels wrong. This feels right. This feels like a good fit. This. Um, but then there's small decisions in my personal life. Oh my God, I agonize over.
Right, right. I think it's hard. It is actually hard to learn how to go with your gut really effectively, but you're 100% right. Like you can tell when you've made a decision in business that is not gonna, that you're like, you've taken a job that you don't want to do. And it is so torturous the whole time. And it just like sits in your skin. And
Yeah.
your skin crawls for 3 months waiting for it to happen. And then you have a terrible experience. And then you made $14 or something like that. And you were like, well, was that really?
I don't know if you feel the same, but just so many years of like for me, like doing open mics and taking anything that will put me on
Right.
stage. There's that part of your brain that's like, I've been doing this 17 years. So your brain is like, but you have to work. And then the other part's like, okay, you finally just got to a place where not all work is good work. And so
Right.
there's that balance with that as well.
Yes. Yeah. Getting rid of that, losing that superstition that if you say no to stuff, no opportunity will ever come to you again is
Yeah.
it's hard to shake. Can you think of a decision that you made that really was maybe surprising or just that had reverberations through the rest of your life in an unexpected way?
Well, in a good, if there's kind of a scenario where both happen at the same time. So
Yeah.
when I was coming up in comedy, back in my day, it was like all about the late night set. You get the late
Yeah.
night set, then you're on your way. And so I finally got a late night set, and I was working with this booker who I loved. And I finally got the set, and then I performed the set. They recorded it, and then the entire way through, though, I could feel myself I was just sort of seeking for the holy grail. I'm like, I don't care about anything else. I just want to get this set. This set will change everything for me. And it kind of set up like a really bad foundation
Mm.
for my life and friends. And, it just makes you think that credits are the only thing that matter. We filmed the show. It went well. And then I was told from the producer that the host didn't want me to air it because he felt it was too many gay jokes and thinks it would be better if I came back and redid it and only had one in the beginning. And so that part of me that went from people pleasing and emotional and this and that, and the
Right.
other part of me that I talked about jumped in and I said no. I said,
Right.
under no circumstances, I'm not doing it. And it
Right.
was a big awakening for me to sort of restructure my life and say, okay, I need to follow my gut. And I also need to know when is the right, because if I had said, yes, I'll do it, then that would have been worse for me in the end, because
Right.
then I would have completely thrown away my own dignity for somebody else who, and I know what they're trying to say, but
Hmm.
to different times too. But it actually set me on a really good path
Right.
and focused my life and caring only about my jokes, my friends, who cares about credits. And then a year later, I did late night on Seth Meyers, and they let me
Right.
say whatever I wanted, and it was a really wonderful experience. And I realized, like, I'm glad that I said no, and I'm glad I trusted my gut, and I'm glad I ended up doing something that felt really good to say yes to.
Those decisions are so hard to make. What was the next thing? I guess this is a weird question, but like, what was the next thing you did after taking such a personal stand? Like just knowing what your lines were that you couldn't cross. What did you like wake up and do the next day?
I woke up in Dayton, Ohio with the Funny Bone getting booed by 6 people while co-headlining with Lisa Traeger. That's what I did. I did the world's worst tour to
Right?
every C club in the country with Lisa Traeger. We couldn't sell a sing. You couldn't sell any tickets.
Oh
At
God.
one point, we were in Seattle, and Lisa was getting heckled by a woman, and the fire alarm went off, and everyone had to go outside. The fire trucks came, then they
Hmm.
left, and then we all went back inside, sat down. Lisa gets back on stage. She still heckled Lisa. So I was like, that was the decision I made, but it ended up being really good for me. It was
Right.
a real
Right.
big learning lesson in me. How, okay, like, you have to realize that not everyone's a basement in Brooklyn. How do you
Hmm.
relate to people that are different than you? What's the
Right.
common denominator? How do
Right.
you write material for audiences that don't know you? And I did that for years and years and years. So finally now when I do the Chicago theater, it's an
Yeah.
audience that knows me, but I worked on material that was, I felt, as much as my capacity could be for everybody.
Right. 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 Your material's not political, but when I look at like the Kennedy Center, it's become like venues have become political. Is it
Everything. I feel like urinals have
everything?
become politicized. Like you can't
Yeah.
go anywhere. And I don't know that I would now. I would not go back to the Kennedy. I'm like you said. I'm not political. My
Yeah.
material lives in an evergreen world, so I want to talk about my life and build. I like the process of building jokes, and politics
Right.
is so within today, as you
Right.
know.
Hmm.
It's like when you were like doing headlines. I'm sure it was like we got to get a million jokes for today, and tomorrow they're not relevant.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
that's I just the process of how I write jokes at the Comedy Cellar. It takes me months and months to find the word. It's kind of like sculpting or
Yeah.
painting, where that process. So I never leaned on politics because one, I wasn't good at it, and I didn't feel comfortable with it. But then it sucks because like okay, the Kennedy Center. It's like I won't go. I had such a good
Yeah.
experience there. I'm like I'm not going to go back now.
I know who's gonna be. It's just gonna be like a WWE at the Kennedy Center. They're gonna
With that
rename
giant
it.
orchestra behind it.
100%. They're gonna be like wrestling in those beautiful like with all that woodworking and stuff. It's just gonna get like shattered. They're gonna like break it across people's backs.
It blows my
Do,
mind that people in the WWE or watch it are so anti-gay, and that they're doing something gayer that I could never be that gay.
it is the most erotic presentation.
And
Just
then they're
like
like, I can't remember pronouns. It's like, but you remember MMA, MFA at WWE. Like, I don't even
I
know
know.
what these acronyms are for. Half of it's like, and not only is it
Yeah,
gay looking, it's pretend. That's even gayer. It's
it's pretend.
pretend.
It's pretend. And you're all backstage, literally like greasing each other up, like getting like paint rollers and slicking your bodies like seals and then rolling all around on each other. Like, what is
And I think
going
it's fun. Even if you're anti-gay, okay, fine. You don't like gay marriage, but you can't tell me that that's not gay. You see what I'm
Yeah, I
saying?
know.
Like, it's
Yes.
incredibly gay.
It's incredible.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed's sponsored jobs help you stand out and hire fast. With sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates so you can reach the people you want faster, and it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Plus, with Indeed sponsored jobs, there are no monthly subscriptions, no no long-term contracts, and you only pay for results. When I was looking to hire someone, it was really slow and actually quite overwhelming. I wish I had used Indeed. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. How fast is Indeed? In the minute I've been talking to you, 23 hires were made on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. Join the 3.5 million employers worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of the show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Sam. Just go to Indeed.com/Sam right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/Sam. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Do you think that people forget? Because I do think that there's like a misconception that you're always doing crowd work and like incorporating the audience into your show. But as you said, there's like craftsmanship. Like you're you're a visual artist too.
Here's all my paintings I did.
But like, there's so much work and there's so much technique. And I think people forget that really great comedians like yourself, they prepare, just like anyone else. Do you, anyway, it's not really a question. That's a statement.
No,
People don't
I
understand.
do crowd work. I do it once a year. So just to kind of fill up. So while I'm writing material, I can't use it or put it online. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of the name of the game now, is posting clips online. So I don't have any material because I have to save it for the road and for the special. So I'll do one crowd work show a year and just talk to an audience for 2 hours. And that's enough for like 8 months worth of material. Wow. And the good thing about crowd work is like, I don't do it at the show. Like I don't do it on tour. I don't talk to the audience at all. I mean, I talk to them, but I'm not like chatting with them, you know? And, but it's kind of fun because I'm such a bit oriented person that even in the crowd work, I can still make it bit oriented. Like you can find a way to find the bit in there. And I let them ask me the questions. So that way I'm not like going up to the audience like, and what do? You're an idiot. You know, I just...
Well, you're ugly. Tell me about you.
Come see me live this weekend. You know, that's literally every clip. So I try and like mix it around. But I could understand people thinking, if they didn't know me, that like I just do crowd work, but I don't. I do it once a year.
Do people scream at you? Do they want you to? Do they indicate? No.
I have good audience. Okay. Yeah. I mean, every blue moon, there'll be like, you know, you'll hear something, but if you don't respond to it, you learn pretty quickly. That shames them more than giving them the attention.
Silence.
Right? Silence, yeah. Yeah.
Withholding affection is very powerful.
Yeah. Also, in my head, I'm like, I only have 1 hour and I'm contractually obligated to get off here at 59 minutes and 59 seconds. So yell all you want. Like, I gotta go.
Well, you're opinionated about food. You care about food. How do you eat when you're on tour? Jesus Christ, it's so hard. How do you feed yourself?
As of late, I've been staying at places that have room service, so I can kind of bargain with the room service. People say, I just want chicken breasts and steamed vegetables. Don't use butter. You know, for breakfast, eggs, yogurt or fruit, or and then on my rider, I have chicken, vegetables, and rice. So that's my meal. Yeah, and fruit like raspberries or strawberries. Mm-hmm. That's about it. I usually go off on weekends. So like the Sunday night to Thursday morning, I'm in New York and I can eat back to my normal meals and go to the gym, follow my diet, and then I go on the weekend and struggle to not go to McDonald's.
What is your least favorite American cooking hack?
Cream and pasta. That's probably my biggest one. There are some recipes that I see where there is like what they say like panna in Italian for like cream that's necessary for certain dishes. But I think the Italians really stick to using la cottura, which is the pasta water, that starchy pasta water to emulsify and bind together the pasta and the sauce. And so it has a creamy texture to it, but it's not cream. I think people just throw cream in it because you say cream up, fancy. When in reality, it really dilutes the flavor and it makes it too heavy. And pasta shouldn't be like pizzante. Like it should taste good and not weigh you down the rest of the day.
I love the title because most people, their pasta does suck. You must have eaten.
Is that a bad title? I forced that upon my publisher.
It's true.
cooking with Matteo. I thought, no, if you're in the cookbook section and you're looking, I want to learn how to cook pasta, and you see a book telling you your pasta sucks.
Yeah.
It's also funny because it leaves me open to so many insults. Like, it's just a fun conversation
That's great.
starter.
No, it's great. And the photography is great too. Actually, I think
Thanks.
it's like beautiful. It's really beautiful. It's colorful. It's like bold. You're like naked
Yeah.
or like in an apron. It's great. It's great. Well, I mean, I read the book. So I agree that one pot pasta is horrible. And we should eliminate that from all of our lives.
If you really want to experience pasta, it doesn't take many ingredients, or it doesn't take that much to actually do it.
No.
I think the idea of pasta, people just sort of see it as like a base, like a sponge where you throw a sauce on it. And that's really not the not the lore of pasta.
No.
So at one cook pot pasta, it's just so disrespectful to all the ingredients. I don't like it at all.
It's awful.
The indignity.
The indignity. It's just, you know what it is? I used to have a roommate when I was in college, and he made slop bowls. And he would just be like, I'll eat whatever slop exists. Like cans of food, you know, like the cans of food that you're like, should I give this away? I don't know how sardines found their, like, I don't know how this tinned fish made its way into my cupboard at this time. Kippers, like whatever. And he would put it all in a pot with creamed corn and just eat slop out of the pot. And he was so handsome. And that's why we all forgave him. But his slop bowls were disgusting. And I think that that's one pot pasta. Right?
He has to be straight, right?
Yeah, he was straight. Yeah, he was tall, like tall and brawny. A little bit
just so like the world is like, I'll eat slop pasta and still be hot and things will be fine.
Yeah, just like a big, dumb, beautiful slop eating giant.
Yeah, I was filled with far too much guilt and insecurity to ever eat slop pasta and assume that the rest of the day was going to be well. First I don't even know what slop. It like the terminology slop comes from the Dust Bowl in my mind. Like hearing someone say slop, you know what I mean? Like, well, you gotta go down there and get yourself some slop. Like that's the character I should play in a movie.
Yeah.
Like old woman at shop who just lets people know where the slop is.
Yeah, it just comes in a ladle and you just slop it in people's bowls.
Yeah. That's all you're gonna get. Now move on. Like that could be me.
One ladle of slop for you. Okay. This book is look, it's a book about your family. You tell this incredible story about how your grandfather had a second family in Mexico.
Yeah.
And he gave all those kids the same names as your mom and her siblings so that he wouldn't confuse them. And then he would spend 6 months with each family. I think that is family secrets.
Well, we're piecing together a lot of the story because my mom was between 3 and 6 as that was happening. And so, my grandpa, who is Mexican, had married my nonna. They married when they were 18 and they had 5 kids together. But then he was just having another family and then named all the kids the same names. My grandma eventually remarried a Sicilian who adopted my mom and her brothers and sisters. And then by the time I was born, I was only familiar with my Italian culture. But yeah, I am a quarter Mexican, and it's like my Mexican cousin, someone in my Mexican family reached out to me from a podcast I did with Mike Birbiglia. They were like, I know this story, and that person he's talking about is my uncle, who's his grandpa, and reached out to me and was like, you know, have you ever questioned? Yeah. And I still have the family book. The one thing my grandpa gave my mom, because they reconnected later in life, he gave her all the photo albums of all of our family in Mexico. So it's just a bunch of people, and all my cousins, aunts, uncles, everybody in Mexico don't know who they are. So eventually I have to reconnect all that because I know my family in Italy, I speak Italian, all that stuff. But then when it comes to my Mexican side, I'm like, I'm so curious to know. I know we're from Guanajuato, and our last name is Maldonado.
Oh, wow. You spent a lot of time. How much time would you say that you spent in Italy? How much time?
Lots. Oh my God. I've been
right?
going since I was 15
Okay.
and just staying the summer. And then now I go like 4 or 5 times a year because I have a group of friends in Rome. Yeah.
Okay.
We're just like a Roman crew. One of them was a really funny comic named Francesco De Carlo, who now performs in English at the Comedy Cellar. He goes back and forth. And Yeah, it's so fun. Like I'm just in Rome, and then you're just with your crew, and we're cooking
Yeah.
and vespaing around, and it's great.
Listen, when we went to Rome, we immediately came home and bought a Vespa. We were like, we should have a Vespa in our life. Like, we just, it's something that we're like, how can we make ourselves more Roman? And I know that we can't do it. I know that we cannot do it, but it is a goal.
Did you learn Italian?
I tried to. I speak some French. I tried a little bit of Italian. I tried it to be in a respectful way. I try to learn the
Th-
accent. I try to do a good job. I try to do it where it's appropriate, where it seems right. I do my best.
I mean, that I hats off to you because I was just in Mexico
Hmm.
for New Year's with my friends, and they have these massages at the beach. I speak Spanish too, with an
Okay.
Italian accent. So when I speak
Okay.
to other Latinos, they're
Oh.
like, "You sound like Mario."
Oh
And
my God.
yeah, my Spanish is everyone laughs at me like in a cute like they're like you're
That's
Italian.
cute.
But I went up to this woman. Her name was Maria. Asked her like how much the massage was, and she was sweet. And I was saying, "Oh, my grandpa's from this area." Blah blah. And then as I'm getting the massage, I can hear some white lady who studied Duolingo for 2 weeks, and she was
Yeah.
so ready to practice on Maria.
Oh
I hear
God.
her. I can sliding up in the middle of my massage. She's like, "Quantas costas for one for uno massage quantas costas." And then her husband's right behind her. You can't make this up. He goes, "I need muy strong hands, muy strong."
No queso, please. No queso.
Gracias.
Gracias. Gracias. Um, somebody was, because I'm going to go, anyways, I'm going to France in a couple of weeks just for like fun. I don't know, just why not? And somebody was like, but how well do you speak French? And I was like, well, I speak French if nobody speaks English anywhere nearby and the other person only speaks French or other languages, and we can cobble together a conversation in the French language. Like we can make each, do you know what I mean? And I feel like that's where I'd like to get with Italian. I'd love to learn it, like just to be able to function just a little bit. If nobody, like if we couldn't, like just to find a meeting of the minds. So the point is, I'm very
Well, the Italians at
envious.
least are. So I speak French pretty well. I would say
Oh, you
I'm
do?
like base. Yeah, I'm like I couldn't like because it's so close to Italian and Spanish. I mean,
Right.
like the Romance languages are all very similar. I
Hmm.
also have something called synesthesia, so I see
Oh,
colors with letters and numbers and words, and so
okay.
as you're learning Romance languages, you see like the same colors and the same phrases, and so your brain like so it's weird. Um,
Hmm.
but the Italians, like, even if you speak nothing and you use your hands, they'll be like so happy. Like, they're just like, oh my, the French
Right.
are
So
particular.
mean. They're particular. They want they care. They want the accent to be correct. They
They want you to
really.
be born in France to speak French, or
Mhm.
then, but they're mad if you don't speak French. I was with Francesco. I was touring in France. I was in
Yeah.
Paris, and we go up to this place. Everyone said, "Oh, it's the best croissants. You got to go here." Okay, fine. So we go up. Now, him and I are speaking Italian to each other. We go up to the counter, and
Hmm.
and in my head, I'm like, "Well, he'll think we're from Italy, not from America. That way, he'll speak French back to me."
Right.
Because this has happened multiple times. So the guy goes, "Bonjour," and I tried my best French. I said, "Bonjour, monsieur. Alors, je voudrais deux croissants, s'il vous plaît, avec un café." And he
Hmm.
goes, "Okay, go down there, and that's where you guys pay." I'm like, I can't with the French. Like that. That'd be like working at CVS in New York, and someone with a French accent walks up to you and like, "Hello, I would like so much to buy this," and you're like, "I can't understand you." Like, what an insane concept.
I know. Oh, they're so mean. I know. It's gonna be. I was like, you know what? I can only do 5 days because I can't be hated that much for too long. Lots of delicious food and like a lot of nice experiences and stuff like that. But I'm like, I'm not up for the ego hit for too many
Yeah,
days in a row. It's too awful. Whereas in Italy, everybody's they're just
they're
so
open.
they're open
They
about
make
it.
it work.
Yeah, they make it work. They're I like that you talk about your grandparents so much and how they're
Oh,
never allowed to die.
they won't. They. I tell them all the time. I'm like,
Yeah,
you
not
two
allowed.
should be dead. And I said, first of all, long life has nothing to do with
Hmm.
health, has nothing to do with activity. My grandma
Hmm.
sits in the basement watching 90 Day Fiance and My 1,000 Pound Sister nonstop. My grandpa's blind. They have the worst health. They eat
Hmm.
the worst food. I said, Nonna, you're keeping everyone alive because you got the air conditioning blasting all year, so you're cryogenically semi freezing, both of you. I said,
Hmm.
we aren't even going to know if you two are dead. You'll be frozen. I'm like, oh, they're sleeping. And they just laugh.
Do they listen? Do they love your comedy? Do they listen to you?
Oh yeah,
Is,
the good
they
thing about
love
my
it.
grandparents, when you grow up in like a community way of living, I was
Hmm.
always with them. I talk to them every single week,
Right.
and my grandpa's one of my best friends. So it's there. I talk to them the way I talk to you,
Yeah.
and they're very open and liberal for two old Italians. But even my nonna, I'll be like, yeah, nonna, like I'm gonna go to hell. Remember that because I'm gay. She goes, no, you're not. If you go to hell, I'm going with you, and we can drink together. And I'm like, I love my grandparents. But my
Oh.
Sicilian grandfather, went blind at the age of 5,
Oh.
and they had no money. And his parents, said, absolutely, we're no pandering to you. You have to make your way to school. Yeah. He put himself through law school, became a judge, and was a blind judge in the city of Chicago, adopted my mom, brothers, and sisters, and had 2 more kids, and raised me, my brothers and sisters, all my 30,000 cousins, and it's just super inspirational. I mean, it's funny because we're not like we're all joking with each other. So if he hits the
Yeah.
wall, we're like, "There's a wall." Anyways, as I was saying, so there's no sad song for him, but. I wonder if part of my life, like the drive of me constantly going and fighting, all just comes from being raised by my grandpa, who there was
Right.
never an excuse. He was blind.
Right. 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 Oh yeah. Well, that would go deep into your DNA. Do you feel like I don't know? You're
Italians
following.
are unwell. Yes, I do.
Uh, you have such a big following on Tik. Like, what would you have done if TikTok had been shut down? You have such a huge fan
Well,
base
I
there.
don't put all my
Did
eggs in one basket. So I
you
got
don't?
Instagram and YouTube as well. TikTok to
Okay.
me is like, I don't even understand it. I post and kind of walk away. I've never looked at a comment. I
Okay.
have no idea
Oh.
what's really happening on TikTok, but I do have a
Okay.
large following. Instagram you can engage with more because it's
Right.
like it's more personal, and you can say when you're on tour, and it feels
Right.
more me.
Okay.
And YouTube is a whole other beast that I really enjoy. I mean, YouTube's how I got the cookbook. I just started cooking on YouTube, and I was like, well,
Right.
this is something to fill the channel. And then all of a sudden, I was like, well, I guess I'm a chef and I have a cookbook now.
So tell me how that process worked. So you were saying before that they came, so a publisher came to you and they were like, you should do a cookbook. And you were like,
Yeah.
I need to incorporate more I need it to be more than just that.
Well, I felt it would be disingenuous if I did a Martha Stewart style cookbook.
Right.
And, I mean, that makes sense for her, but I am telling jokes all the time. So I sent the publisher my YouTube channel and I said, just watch the recipes. Yes, I'm
Yeah.
showing you how to cook carbonara, but really it's 20 minutes of me using this as an excuse to tell jokes,
Yeah.
stories, and corporate friends. That's what the book should be. And if you allow me to do that, let's cut down the recipes and just allow me to tell funny
Yeah.
stories because that's what I am.
Okay. Well, how often do you eat pasta?
Well,
Because
not this
you're
past
also
week
like,
because,
you're very fit.
yes, thank you.
You've got your systems in place. How often are you?
I would say on average now I eat pasta 3 times a week.
3 times a week. But in an Italian way, which is not, again, it's not so heavy. It's why you can go to Italy and eat pasta every day, and you're like, well, I feel the
Oh, when I'm in
same.
Italy,
I feel
I eat
fine.
it twice a day. In
Twice a
Rome, I
day.
go twice a day, and I have carbonara once a day, especially in Rome.
It's
Yeah.
so delicious.
There's a place I love. There's 2 places for carbonara if you're in Rome that's in Campo di Fiori, and one is
Uh-huh.
called Luciano, which is
Hmm.
like the king of carbonara. He has like his own take on carbonara. And then
Yeah.
I love going for like a classic trattoria. I go to Da Francesco, which they
Hmm.
just have the best. However they cook their guanciale, I don't
Mm.
understand what they're doing. Crunchy on the outside and soft on the inside, and
Mm.
it's so. And last time I went, it was busy during lunch. And I asked if I could have the carbonara with spaghetti instead of like mezze rigatoni. And the
Hmm.
waiter goes, no, no, no. We were so busy. I cannot tell the chef this. No, no, no. Please, please. I said, okay, it's fine. Just use mezze rigatoni.
I know. You don't like rigatoni.
I love it. I don't like penne a lot.
Okay.
Rigatoni is fine, but everyone in my family loves rigatoni. And
Right.
so it was just too much growing up. I love spaghetti. That's my favorite shaped pasta.
Okay. I I made carbonara like last week, and I had like a big. This is such a stupid story, but you just reminded me of it. My son was like, he's like 16, and I was frying up the guanciale, and he comes in and he's like into sport, like he's got this like tennis bag, and he was like, oh. No. I was like, can you just make mine without guanciale? And I was like, you're spoiled. You're ruined. Yeah, that's not a normal sentence for you to say. You get out of here. And I was like, that's so sweet that you know that word. I loved it. I'm like, you're
But
going to be
also,
a
you could have
good.
been like, "Don't worry, I'll have slop for you."
I'll make you a slop bowl. Let you sit down. Let me get my swabbing stick. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Do people ask you do people request recipes from you online? Are they like, help me with it? Are they like, help me
I
with it?
think people are mostly confused on how to make your cacio e pepe not stick together.
Okay.
That's the number one thing. And sometimes it's
Mm-hmm.
just about make the sauce and wait for the pasta to kind of cool down and then bring it in. That's all you got to
Right.
do.
Right.
Not everything
Right.
has to be cooked on the pan. I don't cook carbonara on the pan. I put it back into the mixing bowl,
Back
the
into the
hot
bowl.
pasta instead. Yeah,
Mm.
reserve pasta water. I would say
Mm-hmm.
cacio e pepe is probably the hardest one for people to make. They're like, I don't understand what I'm doing wrong with the cheese.
Right. Right. Texturally.
Yeah, it
Texturally.
becomes sticky and stringy, and you want it to
Yep.
be a cream.
Creamy. Yeah. Creamy. Sorry, I'm talking to you too much about food in a way because I'm
I are
so
you joking?
hungry.
I'll talk about food. I had Dylan. I don't know if you watch Great British Baking Show, but
Oh,
yesterday,
yes. I
remember
love it.
Dylan from the last season?
Yep.
Top three. I
Yes.
had lunch with him
Yep.
yesterday. He was in town.
What?
Yes, so we got lunch and we were eating
What?
pizza, and him and I were able to talk about food in a way I was like, so happy about it because we were talking like, and he's like a real chef. But even for example, he was saying, I went to Levant Bakery, and
Mm-hmm.
he goes, I didn't love it, and I said, yeah, it's missing salt. He goes, I fucking said that yesterday that it needs more salt. It doesn't have enough.
Right.
Like we were excited to talk about that.
Oh my God. Do you watch cooking shows? Do you love? I mean, I love Great
The
British
Great
Bake
British
Off.
Bake Off. I am in love with that show. I've just never.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I used to have a joke about this woman Rosie who was on one of the seasons because you could
Mm-hmm.
only understand every two words she said. She'd
Yeah.
be like they'd be like, "So Rosie, what are you making today?" And you're like, "What?" And then later in the episode, you're like, "Oh, she was making a chicken."
Right.
And she saw me do that joke and wrote me. She was so sweet. She's like, "Can't understand myself sometimes." I was
Oh,
like, I love the British. They just have a good sense of humor about themselves.
they do. I watch it for comfort. I rewatch seasons. Like as I'm making dinner, I rewatch it because I feel like it's nice to watch people do things with expertise and and very little ego, actually.
Well, American cooking shows is like your family will be shot if you do not make this in 15 minutes. You get
Yeah.
duct tape and an eel, but you have to make a Thanksgiving dinner. So, like the season with Nadia in British Bake Off, I remember
Yes.
weeping at the end. Like, she's like, if you think you can't do it, you
Oh,
can
I
do
know, I
it. I'm like,
know, I know, I
oh
know.
my God.
Oh my God.
Fine.
We still make a breakfast sandwich and we call it a Nadia because we all love Nadia so much. She was so good. And Jurgen. I'll never forget Jurgen as long as I live. He just,
What
that
about
little
Nellie from this past season?
Nelly. Yep.
Remember Nellie? She was great. It's a great show.
It's
I
a
don't know that
great
America
show.
has it in itself to make that show.
I think that you need to make that show here. I think you need to
I
make
don't
a show
know.
like that here. I don't
American
know.
TV, just the stakes are too high and
I know
everything. It's like you
there's,
can't have anything nice.
it's true. There's always a time clock and a death threat to me.
Hmm.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, there's like a red dot, like sniper dot on people's foreheads. Like, and if they move out of the way, they'll get shot. Just like it's like Squid Game. I watch Squid Games. Every other country in the world watches Squid Games. They're like, that's so horrible. And we were watching. I was like, is this a Food Network? Like, I didn't know the
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah. We watched it here and people were like, I would go on that. I would go on that. I would do that competition. I will be the one who survives. Like,
I would
what?
get shot. I would get shot.
I would instantly jump off of something because I would need to end them. Like it would be, it would be, I would die weekly, like in the toilet or something. Like it would be horrible. It would be, it would be like an accident. And
Yeah, I would die of a
anyways,
toothache while people are getting shot. I'm like, my tooth hurts.
oh my God. You know what? We had technical problems when we initiated this conversation, but it was great. I'm really excited for you. I'm excited for this book and for your
Oh,
tour and
thanks.
for Radio City. And like the book is such a love letter to like
Thanks. Yeah, I
food and
dedicated the whole thing to
culture.
my mom. She doesn't even know
Yeah.
yet.
Oh, she does? What do you mean? She
I didn't
doesn't
tell her. It's a
know?
surprise. Yeah, when she gets it, she'll see this is to mom. She'll weep.
She's gonna weep. Everybody's gonna be
Honestly,
weeping.
the one thing, like when you're writing a book, especially something like this where it's not like there's no arc, it's just bunch of
Yeah.
stories. So like I'm just on planes every week and just writing and writing and writing and writing and sending it to my
Yeah.
editor or sending it. So a guy named JJ Good, who's a great writer, helped me with the recipes. I've never written recipes before, and he was like, "You
Okay.
need to do this and that, putting it together." So there's just so much writing and voice memos and this and that. You forget what you're doing. And then when they sent me the book and I opened it up and I see my great grandmother's, eggplant parmesan recipe, I'm like, it really made me emotional because I was like, I doubt that this poor woman whose family all died and from Naples and struggled her way through life, she would ever think that people would be reading her recipes. I don't know.
Right.
There was something really, really emotional about it. It made me very proud.
That's something you should be so proud of that. I don't know, it's like a deep root of your family for everyone to enjoy and for her to, I don't know, that's wonderful. It's
Yeah,
really
it felt
wonderful.
good. Felt nice.
Felt nice. That feels good. Your mom's gonna cry. You're gonna have to
she'll
pick her up
weep.
off the floor weeping. It's gonna
She
be
weeps
so
at a nice
much-
salad, so she's not hard to make her cry.
Oh my God. So many kisses. You're gonna get so many kisses. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And good luck on the book tour. That was Matteo Lane, and I had no choice but to look up one thing. Obviously, we talked so much about pasta, and I don't like one pot pasta. I don't like one pot pasta. I can't be any other way other than who I am. It's not good. I'm sorry. But I was curious when pasta came to the U.S. Turns out, back in 1789, Thomas Jefferson brought the first macaroni machine to America. And later, in 1848, the first pasta factory in the United States was opened in Brooklyn. And in Toronto, when I was growing up, we had a restaurant called the Old Spaghetti Factory. Is that the same thing? Anyway, that settles it. I'm ravenous. Thanks for joining us. I'm Samantha Bee, and see you next week for some more choice words. Thank you for listening to Choice Words, which was created by and is hosted by me. The show is produced by Svea Baron-Reinstein with editing and additional producing by Josh Richmond. We're distributed by Lemonada Media, and you can find me at RealSamB on X and Instagram. Follow Choice Words wherever you get your podcasts or listen ad-free on Amazon Music with your Prime membership.